Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here alongside, well, the man that needs no introduction. If you're watching on YouTube, that is Lyle, a.k.a. Mr. Leveland himself, doing everything out there for the athletic program. But you may know him from his time on the football field and the gridiron. Just, what is it, Lyle? If you're not first, you're second. But let's be real, you're first in the people's hearts. How you doing today, man?
Oh man, that's love. That's love. I wasn't expecting the warm welcomes that I have received from the true voice of the people. So it's just an honor to be here. Like I said, get nervous every time I watch Thursday night football, Monday night football. I feel like they're making a move to take my partner. So I've been kind of preparing some stuff in case I got to be ready for Monday night or Thursday night because I've let them know. Sent out a couple emails and let CBS and all them know, we come as a package deal. So
if absolutely.
They got to take me. And so I may have messed up an opportunity for you, but like I said, it's an honor to do another podcast with the true voice of the people.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, definitely a package deal. I'll be honest with you, though. I don't know if I want to do Thursday night or Monday night football with how bad those primetime games have been this season.
I do. RC,
okay, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. Those checks are nice. You're right.
And I want to hate. I'm not going to lie. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Yeah, and there might be some hate on today's podcast. I don't know because, well, we're talking about a school, well, obviously one that you played at, and then another one that you worked at. In West Virginia, they come into the 806. Texas Tech has their first home game in just under a month. It's going to end up being 28 days when Texas Tech faces off against the Mountaineers. And there's a lot of Texas Tech ties to West Virginia. Obviously, you have some to West Virginia as well, but multiple guys. I think I believe 5 guys, if not 6, currently on the West Virginia staff that have some sort of tie to Texas Tech. And obviously, the big one is the offensive coordinator, your quarterback, and Graham Harrell. But let's jump into this, Lyle. I think the thing that people want to hear most from us, and again, we took last week off because, well, the players get a bye. We should get a bye too. Okay. Right. That's just how it works. Yeah. We got those dulcet tones don't just happen, people. They don't just happen. We got to talk about the quarterback though, Lyle. Who should be the starting quarterback for Texas Tech moving forward? Because the last time we talked, we thought it was going to be Donovan Smith in Stillwater. It was not Donovan Smith in Stillwater. Instead, it was Behren Morton, the 4-star recruit, who balled out until he got an ankle injury, unfortunately. But Joe McGuire did say this week, leading up to the West Virginia game, it should be at least Donovan Smith and Behren Morton, if not Tyler Shough back as well. So he did say as well that Tyler Shough may come back for the Baylor game. But there is a chance that all 3 could be back for West Virginia. Who do you think should be the starting quarterback for Texas Tech, though, Lyle?
If you're asking me, I think if all possible, I think they should try to medical red shirt. My guy, let him, gets another year to be under the system, kind of learn a little bit. Because really, he got knocked out first game. So
yeah, it was like the third drive.
Yeah, third drive. So, that may be something that he doesn't want to do. He may say, I want to come in and play these 3 games and then go for the league. He may already know something that we don't know as far as his ratings as a quarterback. And that's the thing for people that they don't understand out there. These guys know. They kind of know where they sit. They kind of know where they stand. Honestly, when it comes to draft day, you never know where you're going to go. Speaking from my own experience, I was told I was going 5th round. And I didn't go 5th round. So just because your grades tell you where you're going to go and where they're predicting you to go doesn't always mean you go there. So if I'm those guys, I'm going to try to get Shough to kind of medical red shirt. And then like I tell you all the time, did I think Morton did a great job? Absolutely. Did he make some good throws? Yeah, some great throws. Yeah. Does he throw better than Donovan? Probably. But I'm gonna stand on what I said at the beginning. It's a toss up for those guys we put in. We're getting the same results from them in a sense. Maybe he's completed the ball more, but we're going to get the same results because other people have got to step up. So I think that they bring different things. I think Morton is throws better, makes probably better decisions than Donovan, but I think Donovan, as an overall leader, can do some things that Morton probably wouldn't do, as far as pulling it down, making some plays, running. He's a bigger guy. He's a little bit more versatile. Like I said, Morton got hurt in his first game, which is probably coincidental, but it's his first game. He's injured. Donovan has ran the ball with Kit, got him in a big package, ran the ball multiple times. And so I just think, like I said from the get-go, if we have Morton play every game that Donovan played, I don't know if we win more games because he's the quarterback. So I think we got a lot of more areas to work on, but I think it's just kind of the direction that Texas Tech wants to go in. Are they going in the direction of, hey, we want to kind of mold Morton for the future, or are they saying, hey, Donovan, this is a guy that we're going to kind of roll with this year and try to win as many games as we can this year. So I think it's just the direction on where they want to go and how they want to play it. I think at the same time too, you play Morton all year. I think you're going to lose Donovan, and Shough, he may go to the NFL. You lose two quarterbacks when you don't know when you're going to need the other. So I think it's a toss up of what direction that Kit wants to take him in. But like I said, I think you can end up with three quarterbacks next year. Or you can end up with one quarterback. So I just think it's just the direction Kit wants to lead this offense in, and what he's trying to do with that whole situation. So how you feeling about that though?
I think it's very clear what Texas Tech should do. I think that you're a 3-3 football team. You're building a program, right? And the guy that is going to help you elevate your program to the heights that you want it to go to, long term, in my opinion. So the next 2, 3, maybe 4 years, depending on how long, is Behren Morton. I think Behren Morton, and the thing that really stood out about what you said there was, I don't know if Texas Tech has a different record if Behren Morton is the quarterback to Donovan Smith. I think the same thing can be said for the second half of the season. And so in my mind, my thought process is, well, if that's the case, then let's just play the higher upside guy, the guy that ideally is your starting quarterback next year. Because let's face it, when it comes down to just tools, I think Behren Morton has the most tools at the quarterback position for Texas Tech. Does that mean he's the most refined or the best quarterback right now? Debatable. I think that's debatable. But I do think in terms of the highest ceiling, Behren Morton allows you to have the highest ceiling at Texas Tech. So I think right now, in my opinion, again, you're not going to win the Big 12. You're just not, even in a down year. Why not start the guy that gives you the highest upside and maybe gives you a better chance to, knock off a team like TCU and Fort Worth or something like that? I think the ceiling is so astronomically high with Behren Morton in the sense that there were a couple of throws that he made against Oklahoma State that I was just like, damn, I don't know how many NFL quarterbacks make that throw. And again, it was one throw, right? I'm not trying to overblow it or anything like that, but still, I was like, damn, I think maybe like 12 guys make that throw in the league, maybe, right? And so I think in terms of that, why not just allow him to go out there, learn the system in live game reps, make him the guy and play for this year at the same time, but also know that, hey, he's our guy moving forward. And you mentioned the portal aspect of it. It sucks, but I think that's a reality anyway. I think either way you go, I think that could possibly be the case, right? Like, I think if you go with Shough, I don't think it would shock anybody if Smith or Morton transferred. And I think the same thing with Smith. If you go with Smith, I don't think it would shock anybody if Shough or Morton transferred. So I think it's really just picking, and again, this is a tough decision. I don't know if there is, the clear-cut answer like I'm saying. In my opinion, it's very clear-cut, but obviously those coaches know way better than me. So let's not go down that road because we know how messy that can get, Lyle. But I think from what I've seen and what Texas Tech is currently right now, it is clearly Behren Morton. Because I'll say this too, Lyle. I think if he doesn't get his ankle rolled up on, Texas Tech wins that game in Stillwater. I think they win. Because the second half, was the playbook cut in half? A third? I don't know. It was cut at least a little bit because he just couldn't move. And you saw that. And I think that's more indicative of maybe the pain Donovan Smith was in with his shoulder at the time, or maybe just what Texas Tech and the coaches thought Behren Morton allowed them to do at that given point. But in my opinion, I'm not going to say I'd be shocked if Behren Morton wasn't the starting quarterback moving forward, but there would be a little bit of questioning. And I don't like to question coaches in their first year, really even their second year, unless it's just a absolute what the hell was that moment, like at the end of the clock or something like that, at the end of the game. But I would question them. I would question them in that point because it's kind of at the point now where Texas Tech, Behren Morton is not just your current. I think he's also your future. And I don't know if you can say the same thing about Tyler Shough and Donovan Smith in terms of the level of upside. That's just kind of my opinion on it, though.
Yeah, and I think you have some really good points. I think, from a coaching standpoint, too, the biggest things, too, is Morton's a freshman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if he does not play, he has time. Whereas Donovan's an older guy, Shough's an older guy in that aspect. So I think that's one of those things you can think about. I think another thing is just chemistry, leadership within the team. Because you got to keep your team too. It looks good from the outside, but if every single person on that team is riding with Donovan, you better ride with Donovan or whoever the case may be. And I think that's the part too. I think he has the utmost side, and I get all that, but it's you got to hold on to that locker room and get everybody to be on the same page. And at the same time, you've got to make those coaching decisions, but you've got to kind of take in consideration what your team is feeling too. So I think for one, you first off got to see how the team's feeling, where they feel most comfortable with, because not only is this year important for recruits, is starting your program kind of in the right direction. And also number two, you better keep those guys, because like I said, if Morton is he's played in one game, he's gotten injured. So you don't know what type of quarterback he is. So you put all your eggs in one basket and he gets hurt every 2 games, every 3 games, which I don't think he will. But I'm just saying, if he gets the type that gets injuries, then you're stuck with the next year with the true freshman quarterback. And as a guy that got to play fairly early, it's tough to walk out to 70,000 people as a freshman when last year you played in front of 2,000 people. So I think those are the things too that as coaches you got to take in consideration. And yeah, it looks good from the outside, but it's a chemistry thing. It's a are the O-line blocking harder because they like Morton better? That may be the deal. Are the receivers whatever? But I think those are the little things too that people don't take into consideration. What are those things that, without Donovan, with the struggling O-line, what does he help? How does he help the O-line? How does Morton help the O-line? How does Shough help the O-line? I think those are things that we as sometimes we see, we talk, we like, but we fail to realize what helps those guys. Because you don't know, Morton may not be able to make any calls to pick up the blitz. I'm sure he does. He's a 4-star. You don't become a 4-star without knowing that stuff. But you never know. Is Kitley having to make extra calls to help him decipher what's going on? Is he having to do that? So I think, like I said, pure talent is awesome. But at the quarterback position, you look at that, it's a lot to it. So what all does that quarterback bring? And I don't think we truly know that unless we're out there on the field. But you look at any team that's in the top 10 right now, they have a really good quarterbacks, from Alabama to Tennessee to TCU to, and I think the teams that aren't in the top 10 have decent quarterbacks. What's the difference between Baylor this year and last year?
Yeah.
Why is Kansas so much better? Why has Kansas lost their last couple of games? Quarterback been out. Like, it's that serious, in my opinion.
I think it's interesting. I didn't think about it from the standpoint of, like, it's going to sound bad, but like the human factor of it, right? Like, I know, again, I pride myself on thinking, hey, players are humans. They're not just robots going out there for, entertainment purposes or whatnot. There's human aspect of it, but I didn't think about it from the standpoint of, maybe it's going to sound bad, but just like, hey, maybe they like him better. Like,
right. And
it's
just
possible.
And just like from our, like, my big deal when I played was Sheffield and Potts. I grew up with Potts since I was a kid. I love Potts. I also kicked it with Sheffield every weekend. Love Sheffield. And so, like, for me, I was in the middle, I grew up with one, hang out with the other, but there's people on my team that were strictly like pots. There's guys on my
Mm-hmm.
team that are strictly like Sheffield. And if Sheffield was in, they go 110. If Potts is in, they go 70. So, like, for me, it's just a totally different thing. And even with Graham, when Graham went out and they put someone else in, totally different. Like the whole atmosphere, how people lined up, because Graham expected a certain, like, I can only imagine how he is as an OC, because as a quarterback, I dare not run a wrong route. I dare not drop the ball, because I know when I get back to the huddle, I have to hear Graham's mouth. Like, I heard Graham go off on an O-line that gave up 1 sack on the whole year. 1. And he went ballistic. You would think he was getting sacked every week. And so
you know how many sacks Texas Tech has allowed this year so far?
A lot.
23.
Probably, I was going to guess it. Shout out to Michael Jordan. But
Jesus, like, I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, 23.
But some of that is on, like, that's what I'm saying. But like, O-line gets that. But some of that is probably because they're not making those adjustments. Hey, he's coming off the edge, slide the line to the right. Like, some of that is quarterbacks not seeing it. Some of that is receivers not getting open, and it's coverage sacks. Like, you could take not all those, but NC State, most of those are coverage sacks. Dude's sitting back there, and there's no one getting open. And like I said, I always encourage those people. Like, I wish if I ever get rich, what I'm going to create is a deal where somebody could come stand behind the pocket and see 6, 7 guys, and then when they split, have a 6'5" guy, 300 pounds, run through and hit you one time. So you know where your mindset is after being hit by a 300-pound man.
Listen, Lyle, I went through the combine at the NFL draft. I'm a pro. Okay. Now, to be fair, it was the fan experience of it, but I'm a pro. Okay.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the video I posted to Twitter yesterday of me running the 40-yard dash. Do you have a guess on my time?
Definitely go 4.4.
4.4. Yeah. No, back in my day, I will say this. In high school, again, I'm one of those guys. Deal with it. I can't be like Lyle and flex that I did anything in college athletically. I did win.
You chose to go the media route, brother. You could have went.
I won an intramural championship. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Intramurals are cool. But I ran like a 4.68, like a 4.7. Let's just say 4.7 in high school. I thought I was fast as you know what. And then I go to the NFL Combine for work. Not the NFL Combine, the NFL Draft, and I did the fan experience stuff. I was like, I can run under a 5. Like, I think I could still hit like a 4.9, because I'm stupid. No, 5.5, 5.5. Like, I was like, and you need to go watch the video. I need you to just, like, if you get time today, Lyle, quote tweet it. And I want you to just roast me in terms of everything I did wrong. I look like a baby giraffe fresh out the womb, figuring out it has legs, stepping forward. Like, there is nothing athletically about what I'm doing. And the crazy part is I beat the guy that looks 10 times more athletic than me. Like, but we need to talk about West Virginia. Sorry. I got distracted.
Sorry, folks. My bad. Let's go.
You mentioned Graham Harrell, and I think that's why JT Daniels is having such a good year, is because of Graham Harrell, and he's a very good quarterback for Graham Harrell, because you mentioned what kind of quarterback Graham Harrell was at Texas Tech as a player. I think JT Daniels is a similar guy. Like, it's a similar mold in terms of the thought process, right? Like, I think it's a similar thing. Do you disagree?
Yes.
How so?
I really do just believe Graham is that good with the plays that he's calling. Like, granted, he does have to make these plays, but like I said, Graham is super smart. And I think, when he was at North Texas, he made that quarterback. Do you remember his name at North Texas? The dude that was leading the country.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But I remember that was the year that we thought Seth Luttrell was coming to Lubbock. But I don't know where Seth Luttrell is now.
And my point is, he's still there. He's still at the North Texas.
Is he?
Yeah.
Maybe not much longer. Who knows?
Talked to him a couple of days ago, trying to get him a cat, man. He ain't listening to me, but that's a different subject. But I think the same situation. That cat was at the top. He's not in the NFL. He's not being drafted. To me, it's what Graham's doing. Like, Graham is a genius. And then, like I said, he would change plays and like, he knows what he's doing. So I think if JT Daniels is not a 5-star? He's not a 5-star in this situation. I don't think he's getting the same love that he's getting. I think Graham gets more of the love without being a 5-star. If you're a 5-star, man, you're gonna get love. You make a catch wide open, they're like, oh man, that guy's good. So granted, has he made some good plays? Yes, but I think he was there. Where was he at before? Georgia, right?
Georgia. He got replaced for Stetson Bennett because he got hurt.
Right. But how was he doing in the first games? I don't know enough to go say something like that, but
I mean,
I'm guessing it was average.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't living up to that 5-star hype. But you got to remember too, I mean, he started, I think this is his third school. I mean, he started at USC, then went to Georgia, and now he's at West Virginia. And again, I do give a lot of credit to Graham Harrell. I just think from understanding the offense and my limitations as a player, I think JT Daniels has developed quite a bit at that, because you're right. Like, as a 5-star, they go in there and think, like, most of them probably think, I'm about to just run it. Like, I'm the guy. I'm that guy. And like, JT has been humbled a little bit. He went to a situation that is perfect for him, because I think when you look at kind of what JT Daniels does, and again, he's got a long way to go before he's even in this conversation, but the way that he plays the game, he's a little bit more mobile, but I think he's also kind of like Graham in the sense that people don't really appreciate his arm, because let's face it, Graham Harrell didn't have the most arm strength for any Texas Tech quarterback ever. Right. But he's smart enough to know where to put the ball. And I think Graham is smart enough as the OC to put him in situations where it's like, okay, I do see your limitations. I do see what's going on. And a lot of our OCs aren't like that. I think the perfect example is David Yost. Like, when you had Alan Bowman, who, I mean, just we talk about quarterbacks getting injured. We know, unfortunately, what happened to Alan Bowman, but he refused to change the offense at all. Like, you refuse to change it. And I think that Graham has adjusted to JT, which is great. That's awesome for the OC standpoint. But I also think you got to give credit to JT. And you said that as well. He's out there making the plays. But I just find it interesting, because that was the pairing throughout of all of college football in terms of the new OC and a new quarterback, that I was like, how the hell is this going to work? Because Graham Harrell is that prodigal son, right? Like,
but
he's
they were
the guy
already together at USC, right?
He was a freshman, true freshman. Didn't play much, though.
But I'm saying he had them meetings with him a year. So really, technically, this is probably year 3 for him and Graham. So, it's not fair to say that they're a new grouping, because he knows. And it's like, I tell people this all the time. There's one person, I don't want to say one person, but there's one person I know for a fact that never changes their offense. And I mean, he's changed it a little bit. I mean, even he's changed a little bit, but there's one person that sticks through and rides it out, and that's Michael Leach. Everyone else is making adjustments. So I think that's the thing that people, I think Lincoln does a great job of that. Yes, he's air raid. Everybody wants to be air raid, do the same thing, but you've got to make your offense to fit what your kids are doing, and not make your kids fit the offense is doing. And like I said, there's one person that does that, and that's Mike. But like I said, at the same time, you'll have times where, in my opinion, Mike's always going to be 500, 600 in that area. Like, he may have
working
one
out for him.
He may have one, but I'm saying he's going to be throughout the season. He's going to finish out in the middle of the pack, just because he beat some of these teams early. Like, he always does that. And I love Mike, but he's going to beat some good teams. He's going to lose to some teams that he should have beat, and he's going to end up in the middle, because he's going to do what he does. Like, he's not going to stray. He's not going to change. He's going to do what he does. Whereas if you go look at Dana Holgorsen at Houston this year, he's doing H-back, all kind of stuff that he didn't do when we were at West Virginia. So I say that all that to say this is just, I give Graham so much credit, because at West Virginia, it's a totally different recruiting pool. Like, we don't get kids from Texas. When I was at West Virginia, when we flew a kid to West Virginia, I tell you, Lubbock's hard to recruit. No, Morgantown is even harder, because we're getting
Don't you have
kids,
to like drive in there, right? There's no airport, right? It's a 2-hour drive.
Yes, drive 2 hours, pick them up, about 1:45, drive back. So, I mean, I picked up recruits when it's snowing from Texas. We're driving 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, hour and 45 minutes back. We get there, everything's on a hill. And so I think, like, is there good kids in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, Pittsburgh? Yeah, there's good kids. Their biggest pool is probably Florida. But like we had this conversation, it's the same thing with Lubbock to Dallas. If I'm a Dallas kid, why would I come to Lubbock when I can stay in Dallas and play in front of my family? If I'm in Florida, why would I go to West Virginia when I could stay and go to Florida State, Florida, Miami? Like, why would I want to go to West Virginia? So I say that's, in my opinion, besides Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, excuse me, I think West Virginia is the hardest place to recruit because at least Kansas is somewhat close to Texas. Like, I had two Texas kids that never saw their parents on play once the whole season, you know? And when we flew the games to Texas, these dudes would risk going home to go to Whataburger. So I'm saying, like, it's a tough place. So I give them credit for what they're doing. And I feel for Coach Brown in a sense because it's a tough place. I was there when Dana was getting booed by people, and, you know, I come down the thing, people, y'all suck, all kind of stuff. But it's a tough place to get. And like I said, it's a no excuse business. You know that. But to me, West Virginia is the only place. If I had to go between West Virginia, Morgantown, and Lubbock, I'm going to Lubbock, you know. And
yeah. You're in Texas still. At least they have Whataburger.
So I'm thinking they're getting kids they're working hard to get a couple kids. You know, if you look at how many 5-stars it is in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, it's not many. And, you know, you're dealing with Penn State, all those schools up there. So I think they're doing a fantastic job with the kids that they're able to get, because they're going against a big pool, you know, as far as Texas.
For sure. So. No, I think too, and I want to point out some of the players to watch. Tony Mathis Jr., their running back, he's a stud.
Where did he come from? You know,
he came from Florida. He's a Florida kid. You mentioned it. And then Bryce Ford Wheaton, who it's crazy how many great wide receivers there are in the Big 12 this year. You know, QJ at TCU, Quentin Johnson, he's a first-round pick. Dude is a monster. Yes. Hutchinson doesn't get enough credit at Iowa State. And then I'd probably rank Bryce Ford Wheaton as that next guy in that trio of elite wide receivers, and maybe even Xavier Worthy too. Needs to be in there. But there's a bunch of dudes, right, at the wide receiver position. You're playing one of those.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, you're right. And you're playing a dude this week. Texas Tech is, and Bryce Ford Wheaton. He is a problem. So I'm very interested to watch what the corners do, because I think that that's a position that has kind of been a revelation this year for Texas Tech. Is I don't think people are talking enough about how good the corners have actually been, whether that's Rashad Williams, Malik Dunlap. Like, they've taken a step up. Now, are they elite corners by any stretch of the imagination? No. But they are guys, but they're pretty damn close to it.
But you know how I feel about that too, though. They're good. But
yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
When you got 3 seconds to throw it, it makes a difference. Like, I feel like they're good, but like I said, I think this goes back to the D-line. That makes him a whole lot better. I'm just sure. I think if we're getting blocked up and it's one-on-one, I think they do okay, but I don't think you're having this same opinion. So it's like I said, we got maybe a first-round draft pick on the D-line that's been causing.
Oh, it's not a maybe anymore. That man is going in the first round.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like, to me as a DB, it's the hardest position. But if I got to hold you for 2 seconds, me and you can be pretty dang good for 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
They still are doing their thing, but I just want to give the credit to those guys up front. And like I said, Coach DeRuiter, props to you, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, and the 3 guys that I'm watching in this game from the West Virginia side, we already talked about one in Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's a stud. I'm watching JT Daniels too. I want to see how he responds in what should be a raucous environment out in Lubbock. And then you got to talk about Donta Stills. The Stills family on that D line has just, I don't know. They're like almost the first family of West Virginia these past decade. It feels like they have another Stills brother every time. I believe one of the brothers got drafted in like the 2nd or 3rd round of the NFL draft. I forget exactly where. But stud, just an absolute stud. He's kind of like their Tyree Wilson to a degree. He is going to muck it up and make it difficult on whoever starts at the quarterback position for Texas Tech. Lyle, let's get in a game pick here, though, as we got about 5 minutes left. 2 3-3 teams, 1 and 2 each in conference play. Texas Tech is 6.5-point favorites in this one. That is a high number, in my opinion. And the over-under is 65.5. Who do you have winning this game in the 806?
I'm gonna have to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders here. I think, like I said, I think West Virginia comes out with a bang with all the ties and stuff. I think them dudes really want to, and Graham and Coach Brown, I think they really, really want to come out and get a win. I'm sure Graham's family will be there. So I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to go with Texas Tech. How you feeling?
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. You got a score prediction? Again, Texas Tech is favored by 6.5 in this one. So basically a touchdown. By the way, for the people that don't quite understand betting, that's a trap. That is a trap in the business. That is a trap. Don't do, and if it gets to 7, get out. But go ahead. What's your pick?
I'm going to go 35-24.
35-24. Yeah, you're pretty close to what I was going to say. I was going to say 38-27. Texas Tech. I think they cover. And I will say this, my opinion changes. I'm going in with the whoever the starting quarterback is. My opinion changes. I still think Texas Tech wins. But I think that 38-27 is if Behren Morton starts. I'm all in, man. Like, I know a couple weeks ago I said I was all in on Donovan Smith, but even this too. Stillwater is a difficult place to play. And you go in there as not a true freshman, but your first college career start against the top 10 team in the country. And if you don't get hurt, I truly believe you win that game. And you make throws that are just wow, right? You make decisions that are wow. He didn't make a bad decision in that game, really. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Again, you think who should be the starting quarterback real quick? Like right now today, you're saying, like, I think this guy should be the QB if they're all healthy.
I say it depends. My base opinion, I don't really have one. I just feel like they're all equal right now. That's my base thing. I don't think you go wrong with either or. Just how the team's feeling, what you're trying to do as far as with your program.
Okay, I think that's fair. That's very coach of you, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I try to be.
That's very coach of you. That's very coach of you. Keep me I'm not a coach. Give me Behren effing Morton. Listen to me, Behren effing Morton. Give me him. Okay. That's my pick. I'm all in, man. I was wrong about it. Like, I was all in on Donovan Smith for a minute. But hey, I think that's just kind of how this season goes, is when you got 3 quarterbacks at this high of a level, you're going to be changing your opinion all the time on it. It's just the fact of it. But I'm all in on Behren Morton from here moving forward. And I think it's kind of crazy if he doesn't start. That's Lyle. Lyle, where can they follow you on Twitter, my guy?
Hey, Coach LLEONG. And you can follow my man RC at
RCMB323. Just hit 7K on Twitter. Thank y'all for that. And we're only a few away from hitting 900 here on the channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on the latest podcasts coming out and daily Texas Tech videos right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel on YouTube. Once again, that man's Lyle. He's got more touchdown receptions than you. Unless Michael Crabtree's listening to this. And other than that, everybody else is below him on the list. I'm RC. We'll catch you next time here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.